No, at the time that we recorded Casual stuff, they were cool. And Casual asked him to come in and drop that song. What was the song called? Was it That Bullshit or That Bullshit? Yeah. And so yeah, we were all there. It was all good. The tension between them didn't start till Saafir got signed and was recording his album.
Was it over a missed recording session?
Yes, it was over a, a session that Saafir wanted Casual to come to, and Casual blew it off, or I didn't show up. And I wasn't aware because they were in, at the time I was managing Casual as well, and I wasn't aware of it until Saafir called me and was like, "Yo, I had this session, he ain't showed up," and I was like, "Well, you should have told me. I would have, did my part." And then it just went from there.
Were you there back at the radio station, the Wake Up Show, when that battle took place?
Yes.
Can
Yeah.
you take us back play by play to getting the phone call, to everything that happened that day, to it being a Casual versus Saafir, ended up being a Hyro versus Hopewell Junction situation?
Well, actually, it started the week before, right? Saafir was, well, okay. The first time I heard that Saafir had a problem, real problem, was A Plus called me. I was in the studio with Casual. A Plus called us and was like, "Yo, I'm at Saafir's record release party, and this fool's on stage dissing," right? We were like, "What?" And like, because after I knew that Casual didn't do the session, but I never heard of any beef about it. I just figured Saafir was mad, and that was that. You know what I mean? And they eventually talked it out. Apparently not. And so when Saafir had had a record release party, then he started dissing us, according to A Plus. So we're like, what the fuck's up with that? And so I don't remember what happened after that, but one thing that people don't know is the week before the Wake Up Show, Casual had a show at a club in San Francisco. It's the Independent. It used to be called the Kennel Club back then, right? It was on Divisadero, and so, in the Fillmore. And so basically, he shows up at the door, and apparently he had been up at KMEL Wake Up Show talking shit again, or saying a lot of the raps that he kicked, right? And so then he showed up, and I don't know, I got wind, and someone said like, "Yo, Saafir is outside," and by this time there was already like conflict, and so we knew that there was issues. And so I was like, "Nah, it's cool, let them in, let them in." So he comes with his crew, and then him and Casual end up battling on stage, right? Casual lets him come up, they battle on stage, right? um and then and so that happens. And then Sway and them had called and was like, because they had Saafir up that night, they were like, "Yo, why don't we have y'all both up and we can settle this?" And we're like, "All right, we'll come up." And I don't know if it was, I think it was the next weekend, or maybe it might have been 2 weekends from there. And then we went up there. And my main memory about leading up to it is I remember telling Casual, I go, because I had heard what he had kicked on the radio the week before, and I had also heard what he kicked at the show, and I was like, the fear can't come off the top, right? He can't freestyle like us. So are you sure he's gonna have writtens for you, Casual? Are you sure maybe you should have some writtens for him? And Casual's like, "Nah, I'm not writing nothing for him. I'm coming off the top." He was adamant about that. I'm like, "All right," because I knew that his shit was gonna be specific because he wasn't no freestyler really. And
Right.
even though in the battle he kind of starts his raps like he's freestyling or ends them like he's freestyling, all his raps were written, right? And so anyway, Casual, I knew that, so I put that out there with Casual, and he was like, "Nah, I'm coming off the top off him," right? So we go up there, and I realized that there's a lot, and there's a lot of tension, a lot of tension. And then you realize there's certain factions of people from the Bay who you see are kind of on their side, and there's people that are kind of on our side. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, you down with, okay," you know what I mean? It was like, "Oh, I see how this is gonna go." And so yeah, we just got up there, and then it just went, you know what I mean? And like, my memory, like when I think back about that battle, I don't have any good thoughts because even though a lot of people view it as like, you know, a great moment in hip hop history or Bay Area hip hop history, I always felt like that we Hyro came underachieved significantly. Like I used to listen, I listened to these dudes freestyle all the time, all the time. And I don't know if it was the pressure or whether it was Tajay in particular, I feel like was way too hyped up. You know what I mean? And we were almost fighting during the commercials and shit. So there was a lot of shit. And I just feel like we didn't represent ourselves correctly, even though we only went off the top and he picked writtens. And that's for people to debate of whether that matters or doesn't matter. But for me, I always felt like, man, we should have killed. Like, I don't think there's any objective person that could say that them dudes was on Hyro's or on our level lyrically. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And that goes whether it's written versus off the top. I still think that. And so I really felt like, man, it shouldn't even been no question. You know what I mean? And I just think that we had an off night, and that's my personal opinion. I always felt like that. I still don't think that he did anything that definitely knocked us out. But you know what I mean? I don't think there was any. It should have been any question of who were the dopest MCs that night. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I felt like the fact that there was a question it was disappointing to me. You know what I'm saying? Personally, but that's just me. You know.
Right. Was there any repercussions as far as the aftermath after that day? Was there anything that took place?
Well, there was shots fired outside of the studio that night, and that's because there was a lot of like West Oakland, East Oakland talk going on the air, and then the people that was down with a lot of Hyro dudes from East Coast, you know what I mean? Like some cats felt like, oh, there's something going down, so they came, and then there was some conflict outside, and there was shots fired, and then after that, it kind of just it just kind of stopped after that. I mean, I will say this though, is that I got hit up by Saafir's manager at the time, and I want to say it was Sleuth. I don't remember who it was. I think it was Sleuth, who was like, let's take this on the road, Casual versus Saafir. You know what I mean? And I was like, nah, that shit was real beef. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I should have been smart and been like, yeah, we can make money off of it. But I kind of dissed it. And then, like I had gotten some conversations with Saafir, like not just verbal conversations over things that I said that he didn't like. I felt, and to be honest with you, I still feel that it was a publicity stunt because he did it at his record release party. B, on the day of the battle at the radio station, they had his label was there with a photographer that was trying to get them to do like the boxing pose, like with the fists, and there was tension, so it was like odd. And I'm like, this is some real beef. Like
Right.
they were trying to get they were trying to milk it. And so I always felt like, yeah, this is just a publicity stunt. You know what I mean? And Saafir always, he took issue with the fact that I thought that. But then I used to be like, dude, your manager called me wanting to take this on the road, man. Like this is the reason why I feel that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Right.
so, yeah, like that's me and him had some verbal, confrontations. But after that, after the battle, the real, Cash just let it go, I guess.
Right.
And then ultimately, Casual Saafir squashed it and became cool and whatever, you know what I mean?
Right. You being the manager, throughout the years, personally, I've never heard of Hyro airing their dirty laundry out amongst each other. I mean, I imagine they have their differences, but never have I heard them ever have an internal beef. And I feel like groups who do that, they never bounce back. Like you see Mobb Deep do it. Wu-Tang Clan has done it. EPMD has done it. Once they get back, the chemistry is no longer there. What is your guys' secret to not letting the public see, what grievances and disagreements you guys have?
I don't know. Like, I guess I just think it's just the makeup of most of the cats in the crew, that just don't feel that it's you know, everyone in Hyrule, those guys are talented, but they're all very highly intelligent individuals on a far level beyond just music. You know what I mean? And I think that you know, cats, you know, we started companies together. We've done so much together. And so I think it's more like a brotherly thing. You know what I mean? It's like we just keep our beef, you know, between us most of the time. You know what I mean? And you know, like I think that a lot of it is because of the music, because I think that, you know, we all kind of, our strength is as a unit, and I think that we all realize that. And so in spite of the issues that we may have throughout the years, we always realize that we're stronger as a unit, you know. And so many moves were made as a collective, even individual. Like I said, those 3 albums were different individual label deals, and we moved together, you know what I'm saying. And and also I think that the respect that cats have for each other is a big part of it. And particularly when it comes to music, is that no matter what, when it comes down to it, we are everyone. No one is gonna like, ah, this cat and his. You know, like everyone is fully invested in each other musically, and I think that's why, as long as you're doing music and as long as you are have shows and as long as there's opportunities and we own a building in East Oakland together, and there, as long as we have that stuff that connects us, those are ties that bind us, and as long as we have those, I don't think I think that'll always keep us together.
Throughout the years, does Domino have any regrets?
That's funny. I just was saying this to my homeboy the other day, ID. Shout out to ID. Um, I was telling him that my regret was I'm not as good as a networker as I should have been, and we were talking about like a lot of the artists throughout the years who were our peers that that either were bigger than us or ended up being bigger than us that we didn't, you know, connect. And you know how artists nowadays are all on each other's records, and I just think that I don't think we maximize, or me as a manager or a producer maximize the relationship and all the respect that cats have for us. You know what I mean? Like, and and you know what I mean? Like, you know, you talk here about Andre 3000 and having so much love for us, and Eminem, and it goes, you know, the Fuji, it goes on and on. And we didn't really, I didn't maximize those relationships as much as I probably should have, whether it was because you know, it was because of, you know, pride or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, I'm not going to jock the, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? Or us just being in Oakland where everyone was in other places, you know. And
Right.
so that's the main regret I have personally, is not maximizing a lot of the, you know, the relationships that were open to us from all the artists who we respected, who we could have done shit with, you know.
Right. What do you think your greatest achievement has been throughout the years?
Um, I don't know. I guess, you know, I always say, man, my aim for getting into the game was to just have a legacy. You know what I mean? Leave something for my kids to people. You know what I mean? That when I'm gone, our music will still be there, and that was my aim. Like I never really, you know, like I feel like at that point I felt content. You know what I mean? Like, damn, like people are going to be talking about us later, and I feel like we put art out there that was that gained people's respect. You know what I mean? And people still love and mean something to this day. And to me, that's the best thing that you can do, because your money, you can make money, but that's gonna go. You're gonna spend your money, or you're gonna die, and you can't take it. But the art that you leave for people to remember, that's the real legacy. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And so like that's really what I wanted to do. And I think it's great that, you know, when I think back of how we went so many, you know, weren't signed, we got signed, we got dropped, we came back, and we've had like multiple, you know, turns over of new fans. You know what I mean? And so I think that's another thing that just shows the resilience of us, that, you know, we didn't just get knocked down and just just roll over. Like we were like, oh no, we're gonna do our own thing, and then take it and to the point to where we were touring more than we did when we had a deal. We made more money than we did when we had a deal. We bought property, and so all those things, but ultimately for me, it's leaving the musical legacy that to me is the greatest accomplishment. A legacy that matters to other people.
Right. I think one of your guys' greatest achievements as a collective is High Road Day. Can you take me back to how that all began and what your experience has been like with High Road Day?
That began with a vision with Casual. I think might have had the initial kind of idea for it, and basically it was just kind of a way to kind of give back to the Oakland community, who has supported us through all these years. You know what I mean? And so, and then it started small and just it just grew, and I think ultimately it represents what I think it really says a lot about the equity that we built in the community, but also in in music in the whole Bay Area, that to where people were coming out to support us, but also I feel like the aesthetic of the event represents us well as in addition to that. And so it doesn't really matter whether Hyro is the group playing. We always feel like we wanted it to be like a family affair, a good time, but in music that kind of encompassed what we stood for. You know what I mean? And I think that like I feel like I think that that event really encompasses that. I think that's the feeling that people that get from the event, and I feel like it was just another thing for us to kind of stamp our legacy on, and so I think that it's gotten to the point now. I think that people come for the event not just because Hyro's there. Most probably a big portion of people don't even know our music that come. Maybe initially, and I think that's a great thing, and that says a lot. And so it was just more of our way to give back, and like there's nothing that could be, you can't really bottle the admiration and the love that people show for us. And so
Right.
like Hyro tattoos, all that type of stuff, people that tell you about the music meaning a lot to them and getting them through tough times. And like that's what I take from Hyro Day. It's kind of like all our lives work, where everyone from the Bay comes out just to kind of like be on the same wavelength. You know what I mean? And we, everyone at Hyro is pretty accessible at Hyro Day, walking through the crowd and whatever. And so what I mean? It's just kind of our way to kind of like connect with the people that have supported us through 25 years,
Very dope.
25 plus years.
Right. Moving forward with this COVID-19 situation, what is the status of High Road Day moving toward the future?
I don't know officially, but I can only say that it's not going to come back until all the shows are back. And unfortunately, live shows are probably going to be the last thing that comes back because of people generally are packed together, screaming out. You know what I mean? And those are all things that don't bode well when there's a virus around. And so yeah, like it'll probably be back when everything else is back, no sooner, I wouldn't think. And that goes for Pyro After Dark, which is another show that we put on, indoor show in San Francisco and so it's going to take a while before that happens, that's for sure.
Can you tell us what to be on the lookout for from yourself personally, and also what we can look out for from the Hieroglyphics crew?
I mean, everybody's still working on music. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have anything specific that I'm working on, but numerous of my close friends and various people throughout the years have been like, what's up with the Domino album? Like, forever. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I haven't, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, man, I got to do that. You know what I mean? And so I've been like putting together a bunch of like things that inspire me that I want to hook, or been making some stuff. And so I'm just trying to get to the point to where I feel like, okay, there's enough here. I'm my hardest critic. And I'm also, I've been, I work closest with Dell, and I've been trying to like, yo, we got to do the Domino Dell album. Like, come on, and he's with it, but you know what I mean. It's like getting it going is a little harder than that, you know.
Right. What about the Hieroglyphic crew? What can we expect? Anything in particular?
I don't know, like right now we're not like making any moves toward recording a new Hyro album, but that's always kind of one of the topics of discussion every time we talk. And so it's just it's gonna be a point of it's going to be a point of us all being in the right place at the right time and have the right things before it happens. But we're making strides toward that. It's just, again, it's harder as we've gotten older. Even before the pandemic, where you got like various dudes with various responsibilities with families, and like I said, I had twins. You know what I mean? And so it's not as easy to attain that moment to get together. You know what I'm saying?
Right. In these times, what is keeping Domino inspired to do what he's doing?
I mean, it's always music, man. Like I listen to music all day. You know what I mean? Like, and whether it's hip hop, all kinds of music. You know what I mean? I'm always in a search for music. And so like I'm making playlists all left and right with all this extra time. And I have like my inspiration, like tracks that I'm like, oh, I gotta like come back to this, or just
Right.
stuff to listen to. Oh, Morricone died. Okay, I compile all the songs I love from him. So like I'm always listening to get inspired. So, and also, you know, hearing stuff that my brothers are doing too also is inspirational. So,
Uh, I'm loving the shop and everything you guys got going on. Any particular merch or any items we can be on the lookout for?
I'm not sure because I'm not really involved in the kind of design portion of it. I may have a little input or something like, man, if y'all gonna do sports colors, you got to do Steelers, black and yeah, I might say something like that, but I'm
Right.
not really involved in the merchandise angle of it, so I don't know what's coming next. You gotta ask Festo and them cats that, because they're more in the trenches on the merch. I just go, yo, shit, we got masks. Can I get one? You know,
We
get the
got
high
a
road mask.
we,
If you're gonna go out in the mask, get the high road mask.
That's what's up. We got a few minutes before we get out of here. Can you tell me how you feel about the current state of hip hop in 2020?
I mean, I think that, look, I always say this, like, there's no way for somebody who's my age, who's been doing it for so long, that is not gonna just sound like an old get off my lawn, get out, type of music dude when you talk about the new generation of music. There is a lot of good things out there that are dope, and you just have to find them. The other stuff, a lot of the stuff that gets most of the exposure, a lot of that just isn't for me. I don't have no problem with it, because music is going to advance with you or without you. And you have you got to be in the trenches to be able to make it move in a certain direction. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I don't begrudge any of the new stuff that's out there, because I just, if I don't dig it, I don't listen to it. I'm not gonna have that conversation that, oh, music ain't as dope as it was in my era. Like, everybody's gonna say that to the end of time. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? There's just no
Absolutely.
other way to look at it. And so it doesn't do any good to compare the eras. But there is a lot of good stuff out there to find if you just look for it. And like I said, however, we still doing stuff. There's a lot of people that are in the same vein. If that's the style, that's the sound that you like, there's plenty of people still doing that, or new cats that are doing it, that are basically children of the 90s or whatever. And so, you know but there are things that I do like that are new, but um you know not everything, but it's just ain't for me. That's how I view it.
Right. Well, this has been definitely a captivating interview. I thank you so much for joining me. This is my way of giving my heroes their roses while they're still alive. And I do appreciate the time you've given us tonight. Can you tell everybody where to find everything Domino as far as social media goes?
Everything is Hyro Domino. So it's HIERODOMINO. So it's Hyro Domino on Facebook, Hyro Domino on Twitter, Hyro on everything. And so just look for me then. And you know, if we do, we have enough time to allow some people to ask a question or so?
Absolutely. We got about 8 minutes.
Okay. So any
You
is
guys
there?
got some questions?
So I may just be, you know, thinking too much of myself to think that somebody wants to ask me something, but
No, it's all
if
good.
so, if so, let's
Let's
see.
go with those questions.
Come on. Any of my friends that are on there, at least ask a question so I don't look stupid.
Who produced Cab Fair?
A plus. A plus produced Cafe.
How do I get on at Hyro Day? Twan Mack is a talented MC down with Def Jeff and others. He's from Milwaukee. How would he